Hello, everyone. I'm Robert Franz, music director of the Windsor Symphony Orchestra, and I am thrilled to be here today with our guest soloist, pianist Alain Lefevre. Alain, welcome.
Hello, Robert. So happy to see you.
It's so good to be with you again. I remember our music making in 2017 right here on this stage at the Capitol Theater when we did the André Mathieu Romantic Rhapsody. And that music is still ringing in my ear. And I have to say, the only thing that pushes it out of my ear is the recording I just listened to of you performing the variations on a theme by Paganini by Rachmaninoff that we're going to be performing together. I'm really looking forward to this.
And just for the little story, this recording was a live recording plus 2 hours patch session. So three Rhapsody in Blue, Rhapsody of Mathieu, and I would say one of the most emotional piece of Rachmaninoff, Rhapsody sur un thème de Paganini, because I don't know if the people realize that one of the most romantic movie, Somewhere in Time, with Christopher Reeves, they use the theme da 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 pop, and this I believe is for everyone. One of the I got tear in my eyes just thinking about this movie and this music, and for me to perform this piece with someone like you, because I know that sensitivity is on the tip of your finger. I'm myself very excited.
That is very kind of you, and it's interesting you say that because as I was walking over to do this interview with you today, I was reminded of that movie, Somewhere in Time, that I fell in love with so many years ago, and that variation 18 from these variations is really one of the most poignant pieces of music I think ever written. I want to start this conversation with you with a question about something that you said that I think is really profound, and it's something that I want to explore with you because I don't know that many people think like this, but you have been known to say that you are solely at the service of the great composers and their music. Now, when we think about a musician, we think, okay, you're learning your music and you're presenting it, but you do it in such a way that you are at the service of the composer and their music. Can you explain a little bit about what that's like in your mind? Like, where does that come from? What is that about for you?
I do believe, and when I talk first, I want to remind people that the base of my life is to be modest, not to be falsely modest, but to be the way I am. You and me, we know, being in this wonderful world of classical music, that there's a lot of people who have this talent to be greater than Bach, greater than Rachmaninoff. They're the best. They love themselves. They love the impact that they have on the public sometimes. And they tend to do forget that if we want the public to be moved by the music, ourselves cannot be moved by the music we play. Because the time we start to cry because we believe that we play well or we conduct well, we can be sure of something. The public doesn't anymore have the emotion. So I have been, like a lot of people, meeting a lot of musicians, and I always was amazed by the fact that they were loving themselves so much. In a dinner, they make a joke, we have to laugh. They're sad, we have to be sad. They're always talking about themselves, about where was the last concert, what hotel they were, what business flight they are doing. And okay, I believe maybe they're happy with this way, but for me, as I say modestly, this is the thing that is not me, it's far away from me. When you play, there's a contact with something greater than you. First, when a pianist do something with a conductor, it's like, and I will say it in a very polite way, it's a love relation. So if the pianist or the violinist is having an enormous ego, then the conductor sometimes doesn't even know what will happen. And if the conductor, like it happened, have an enormous ego, then the pianist cannot have this love relation. So let's say you and me we do Rachmaninoff Rhapsody. It's impossible for me to have the emotion going through the public if you and me were not connected in a love bubble. And my answer is long, I'm sorry. And to finish, I do believe strongly that in 2023, the world needs love. There's something that is very scary today. When you see the hatred, when you see the word that people use now in politics, when you see all those things, if you go on my Instagram account, you will see me posting cats, dogs, and panda. Because, Robert, I'm a little discouraged. Because as a kid, I was beaten in the school, I was bullied. So I know what is bullying. I know exactly what it is to be beaten every day systematically by people who just use aggressivity, pretentious, and so I'm scared of those things. So to come back to the main goal of your question, when I work, I cannot be greater than Rachmaninoff inventing those themes. It's impossible. I have to be at his service, not me taking the advantage of the genius piece.
I couldn't agree with you more on all counts, Alain. And it's one of the reasons why I love making music with you because, for me, what my teacher sort of presented to me and something that's been very important to me my whole career is going from the personal to the impersonal when performing. And I know for a lot of people that seems like a strange concept because they think, well, this music moves me so much, it must move you, the performer, too. But my job and your job as the performer is not to have an emotional connection or an opinion, but is to just present what the composer said. And because of that, one of the things that happens is there's great clarity in your playing. For instance, as I listened to your recording of this Rachmaninoff that we're going to perform, I was really struck by how clearly everything fit together and how clearly the message that Rachmaninoff was giving came through the music. Is this a process that you think about in terms of, I would call it, simplifying the music? So you go right down to the core of what the composer was saying and try to take out all the extra stuff and just really get to the center of what they're doing. That, to me, appears to be what you're thinking when you're playing.
First, thank you for what you're saying. Life is too short for me not to be honest in my answer. I don't have any confidence in myself. I work, I start all over again. And the way I work like I don't know. And when I practice my piano, I'm always listening to what I do. I'm not moved by what I do. I listen to the phrase, to the note. So if you go in life, you and me, we will have we er, we have no mean to say any names of any politician. But when you see those politicians, just to take them, being so sure of what they do is right and blank, blank, I'm scared because I'm playing piano for the last the last 55 years, and more I go, less I know. So Oscar Wilde was saying something fantastic. He said, when you meet someone that say to you that is right, run." So when we will start, you and me, to work directly enough, I will not come with my luggage of saying to you, I want this tempo, I want to do this. I will say, Robert, what can we do? But it is not to show or to make a show of the guy that is modest. No, 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 it's me. I have no um, security. I'm always like a guy on, like a clown that is, he believes going to fall or not fall. Because the greatest musician I've met, if someone wants to see just a little excerpt of Hans Knappersbusch conducting Parsifal in 1952 or something like this, you see that this guy is conducting like a student, but everything is passing through. Now, you and me, and I don't mean to be mean, and I hope my English will be good enough. We see a lot of those conductors. They're having, they're jumping everywhere. They, they're like, you believe that maybe they're on some kind of medication, and nothing is getting through because honesty is always more difficult than to be, the fantastic clown that will make people laugh or not. So, is classical music the place to make so much show? I don't believe so. I'm not sure. So, when I practice Rachmaninoff and I listen to myself, I'm not happy. I want things to be more clear. There's a lot of passage where you have to take off the pedal. And when you listen to Rachmaninoff himself, you know that the guy wanted things to be clear. And he certainly didn't want his music to be too romantic. He was more in the clarity.
So let me ask you, other than the 18th variation is obviously the heartbeat of this concerto that you're playing. This is the tune that everybody knows and falls in love with. I can't imagine a person not falling in love with this tune if they've never heard it. What else in the concerto is special that you want an audience member to listen for or to connect with? What is it about this piece that you think really people can connect to?
And maybe you do agree or you disagree. I believe that the way Rachmaninoff built this piece make this particularly piece as a gem. It's like every variation have to be played with a lot of respect by the tempo. You know, tam pa da ba da da da. It never have to be too fast. So now I will I will be very polite. When sometimes you hear some, and they play that like they have to go to the bathroom as soon as possible. You're not obliged. I remember when I did the recording of Picture and Exhibition, few of the critics were very mean to me. They were saying, Alain Lefevre play the Picture of an Exhibition, the theme, too slow. So one day I was in a radio show and the guy was very aggressive with me. And as I said to you before, having been beaten, it's difficult for me, but I'm able to answer. And I said, do you know the story of Picture and Exhibition? He says, yes, yes, yes. And I said, do you know that it's Mussorgsky going to see the Victor Hartmann exhibition and is walking from one painting to another painting? So I said, when you go to an exhibition, do you run from one painting to another painting or you walk? And he said, I said, why do we have today to play so fast? What do we have to prove? Horowitz did play so fast. We have Argerich who spend our lives playing fast and loud. So we don't need that. And I will not impress anyone by being faster. So maybe you and me, when we will start to work together, you will be a little bit amazed with my tempi. You will say, Oh, okay. But you know, when the tempi is right for the ears, it seems very logical. So today, as we're talking, there's a lot of illogical music that happen. Music has to be logical. It's mathematical. So I'm not in this rhapsody on a theme of Paganini to prove my technique, and and of course, it's a difficult one. There's a couple of variation. They're they're killers. So you have to go to the aspect that Rachmaninoff was very cool. And the last thing, okay, I did play the four concerto of Rachmaninoff. I record few of them, but this is probably one of the piece of Rachmaninoff where the love story between the conductor, the orchestra, and the pianist is the most important. I don't know if you agree with me, but I think that.
No, I think that's exactly right because each depends on the other so much as you go through it. Unlike the famous second concerto where there are these huge swatches of it's your turn, it's my turn. This is much more integrated. I love what you say about tempo though, or the speed of the music, and I think that's really important because I feel very similarly to you that I'm always listening to the sound of the orchestra, and the proper tempo results when you get the full overtones of the sound and you can hear the sound ringing in the hall and in the orchestra. And if you go too fast, the sound shrinks, and if you go too slow, you can't sustain it. So there's a place in the middle where you find the exact right sound that you want, and that determines the tempo as opposed to the other way around. And that could be, Alain, why you and I enjoy working together so much, because I view exactly the same process. I'm always searching for that new sort of the right tempo for the space and for the musicians that are in front of me. And very much like you, I too will come to our first rehearsal with an idea of what I think the piece is, but completely open so that I can help make your vision of the piece come to life, because that's really my role as the conductor, is to help bring your vision and my vision together so that we create one clear optic of what the composer was trying to say.
When you play this piece, and if pianists will come to the concert, people know what to expect from the pianist on the stage. So probably I will ask you many hugs to reassure me and to give me strength. So it is, Robert, it's very strange to see the world moving so fast. And the world is moving fast, not modestly, not in the right direction. There's few things that are for me very disturbing, and I think that the lack of compassion, the lack of and the profusion of aggressivity, and us music, classical artists, we have to call it classical music. Even if I love jazz and I did play jazz and I love every music, we maybe have some greater role than we think because our métier, classical artists, have become with those enormous manager thing. They wanted to run the business as a pop business. Classical music is not a pop business. You and me, when we go on the stage to do the performance, we're not in Windsor, we are not in New York, we're not in Paris, we're not in London. We're the two of us in a bubble with the wonderful orchestra, and we make something great and much greater than us. We're just tools for something that maybe the public will receive as something that will be good for their soul, for their heart. And sometimes some people who have disease. How many people I know that have been not cured, but have been helped by listening to Jean-Sébastien Bach? How many people do I know? I've worked a lot with trisomic, with autistic people, and I know that the result I do have by telling them, why don't you listen to Carl Philippe Emmanuel Bach symphony? And there's, tam, pam, pa, 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 pam, pa, pa. So do we need to be great and to be star? No. When we do this art of classical music, we need to give of ourselves the gift for the people to be moved and to be healed of the society we're living in. And this society, you know what, Robert? This society is. I think that the COVID have been very difficult. I don't know if people are very happy. I don't have that feeling, and maybe we can make a little difference, a little one.
Well, I know, Alain, that you will make a big difference coming back here to Windsor to perform this Rachmaninoff with us. Thank you so much for spending time with me today, and thank you ahead of time for the beautiful music that you will make for our Windsor audience. It's good to see you.
Robert, you know what? In life, at the end of the day, at the end of the day, the only thing that is important is love. The rest have no importance. And you and me, we know that with the music, we can do something great.
It's absolutely. All right. Thank you, my
I
friend.
love you.
Love you too.